Chapter 4. Consciousnesses with divergent abilities create new systems. Conflicts may be necessary for a phase-out or a development. If a condition of chaos is long-term without bringing a solution, an agreement in its duality, where it is able to hit the 0 point, and where it can achieve its turnaround or turning point, then the condition will be stuck. This means that a condition is stuck in a linear thought form where the energy stagnates. A so-called blockade is going to occur, an inner fight stopping the energetic flow, and thereby the circular energetic movement, which is the basic element for our life, for survival. We are going to get stuck in an emotion which is locked in its condition. There are two ways of looking at this challenge. Scenario 1, resistances being sustainable and sustained. In this case, the consciousness or unit with big resistance and rejection is in opposition to the ongoing change, the sustainable and sustained part, unit of the system, because it has seen an even better possible solution than the previous one. This one has developed further than the collective consciousness in the system in which it is integrated, so that it will keep the appropriate elements for survival, despite the need by the present condition for a change. A consciousness developing itself on a higher level than the collective consciousness in which it is interacting sees future solutions based on present challenges, finds possibilities based on the present sustainable elements, creates an improved version of the changed condition, if the present one is not appropriate for the future. In this case, the unit must have the ability to go up against the resistance and to hold on to the new possible solution through its own sustainable and sustained resistance, until the systems of the collective consciousness are receptive to its message and possible optimized solutions. Conflicts occur when a unit or consciousness opposes changes and refuses a change in its patterns. In such a case, a collective consciousness may also resist the changes it meets in the unit or units and refuse to evolve. By this is created an energetic condition of rejection, perhaps stemming from anxiety, which may result in a change process in an inappropriate direction. An example, it's just like a town, being part of a country, being part of a continent, being part of the world. Every unit has its own internal system and universe, a collective consciousness, which is part of an even bigger collective consciousness, etc. It's just as possible that if the smallest part of an organization or collective consciousness, a person, is stuck in a condition of resistance, then a larger collective consciousness, with the same outdated thought forms and belief, will be stuck in a condition of rejection and resistance, which the bigger collective consciousness rejects. If I, being a woman, together with several women from Denmark, with our free-thinking thought form, travel to a fundamentalist country with no women's rights, then we are likely to have a sustainable and sustained resistance to the thought form of its collective consciousness. They are going to reject us, just as we are going to reject them. There will probably come a day where they also develop themselves and change their thought forms into being more free-thinking. This already takes place today, where women and men in other countries are fighting a good fight for the collective consciousness. And the only way they can change this outdated thought form is through their resistance and rejection of the thought form which the collective consciousness forcefully forces them to accept. However, as the fundamentalist country is part of a larger collective consciousness itself, just like a unit, then the change is inevitable, because we live in the dualities, and nature is going to balance itself at some point in that plus and minus will meet. Minus and minus, rejection and resistance, are not going to last forever and will only phase out and thus die. Therefore, the sustainable and sustained thought form will survive in the end. Divergent consciousnesses, units, and their abilities. Divergent consciousnesses. It will not be about the majority winning, but nature's law of dualities is, at the end, going to find its own balance. This means that the sustainable and sustained unit, the divergent unit with combined intelligence or consciousness, is going to balance in its dualities, and thus reject the imbalance emitted by the collective consciousness. Divergent consciousnesses have highly developed divergent abilities. They are the frontrunners setting the new development in motion, in step with our evolution. They can teach other units with an identical consciousness in the same collective system to focus on developing themselves in areas where the systems lack development to enable an update. They will be able to create products and thought forms contributing to development in the future. They lead the way and thus show the way to the new, sustainable and sustained systems which they can create together, being the frontrunners, the divergent abilities based on sustainable and sustained thought forms and combined intelligence. That is, they've grasped the long end, with a developing thought form including the healthy elements. Divergent abilities may, amongst others, be abilities that are in play behind intelligent innovation and leadership. When we think about divergent ability, to change and create a shift in human understanding and a fundamental shift of thinking, we have to understand the currency of the words and combine what makes sense, and create understanding for what does not make sense. Here we enter the theory behind sustainable and sustained combined consciousness and intelligence within innovation and leadership, and thus combined management, the female-male consciousness, the feminine and masculine intelligence consciousness. You can read more about this later in the book. The loop of time, the 0 point, the chaotic condition that cannot be converted into a balanced condition, as it lacks the loop of time, the reset point, where the compromise is made in a transformation phase, from one condition to the other, for example, from rejection and resistance to peace and balance. They always end up with either a phase out or recovering a new system, having the same consciousness as those they are interacting in and with. Loop of time where time and limitations do not exist. The place where the disagreement between the opposite poles creates a turnaround in agreement and is transformed like spring into summer. Coincidences exist and do not exist. Cause and effect of divergent consciousnesses create circumstances with new possibilities and coincidences, which were not included in the present system or collective consciousness in which they exist. Cause becomes effect, which becomes a consequence, leads to circumstances. They create experiences which lead to changes that bring about renewed energy. This brings wisdom, which becomes a cause. Coincidences occur when balancing dualities meet dualities which are not in balance. Right there, new possibilities are created for development or phase out. We all have the coincidence ability. Divergent human beings have a very highly developed coincidence ability. They are capable of finding solutions under the worst possible situations and circumstances. Thus, they can turn any failure or error into positive opportunities or successes, creating new circumstances through coincidence ability. The new circumstances have new conditions for other units and require that they are willing to develop themselves in balance with the new changes, in order to release new energy to transform the new knowledge and experience into new wisdom, new energy, and new consciousness. New thought forms, collective consciousnesses with new experiences are created, which create freedom to think and feel and make us use the free will that all consciousnesses have in the various systems. The possibilities of coincidences creating potentials for a change process. They start to get flow in their natural course the moment they get the opportunity to make use of the other opposite pole, which the other duality contains. The other axis of dualities contain other opposite poles, which this unit may use, and thereby change the patterns of its system, and new conditions and possibilities occur. Integration in new systems, collective consciousness. So, it's not always the case that anger and resistance are inappropriate, as there will be situations where a condition of peace and balance may need to use these for phasing out of the inappropriate condition, which creates unrest. Anger and resistance will be the cause of peace and balance as an effect in this case. We need all the knowledge and information which all of our emotions give us to be able to transform knowledge into wisdom as an integrated part of our internal compass, from the past tense to the present tense and on to the future tense. We talk about divergent ability, a knowledge that is integrated and transformed into wisdom is the cause of the present tense, of the future effect, if that effect is the new cause of the future. A coincidence for a collective system or consciousness is not necessarily a coincidence for another consciousness. The divergent consciousnesses which do not adapt to the collective system or consciousness in which they find themselves break away and find other possibilities. By this, coincidences and possibilities are created in the change process. Just like the example of the woman who wants a divorce because she has developed to another level than the man and has acquired other needs, or she may want development in areas which the man does not want. If the divergent units choose to find a new existing system, the coincidences are not necessarily going to occur as a coincidence to the new system they are integrating in. This means that the woman is going to find herself a new man or create her own system alone. The explanation to this may be that the unit or consciousness has developed its abilities and consciousness by being the observer to the new system they want, and which they slowly begin to drain energy from or give energy to. The new system presents a new condition. It may possibly have taught itself a new developing thought form by consciously combining and integrating its dynamic intuition and organic instincts like a wholeness compass, being more appropriate for the new desired system. in this case, a new type of man and relationship or family dynamics. The divergent units have activated their combined intelligence and consciousness. They've seen new ways and possibilities, which are also found outside their own old collective consciousness, in this case, the old marriage. Therefore, the divergent consciousness eventually starts to reject the existing collective consciousness with resistance, and to perceive it to be imbalanced, in this case, the old family or marriage. The same system that was once part of the development of its consciousness is now being phased out, as the unit no longer needs it on its development path towards the new collective system, in this case, the new desired man, new family life or family dynamics. The old collective system gets transformed into a system unusable to its existence. Is it not fantastic that the consciousness or unit can always make use of the meta-duality theory on its development path, consciously as well as unconsciously? Two minuses create chaos and phase out. Here, this ability is used to choose new ways to other and more compatible systems. Seen in isolation, we always have our free will in our own cause, effect, and consequences, which we create and work with. By this, we can make use of the possibilities of other coincidences, or create possibilities through our coincidence ability, when breaking system patterns by using our free will, according to the meta-duality theory. The coincidences we create are called coincidences because 10 years ago we probably didn't expect to do what we do today. We break our own patterns in step with our development. However, this coincidence is not a coincidence to the collective consciousness, as it had already calculated the future 10 years ago and knew that to be able to create the balance sustainably, the various units must currently develop. This coincidence for a unit was probably planned from the bigger picture and its consciousness from which it is already working. At the moment we create or take part in a collective consciousness, then our free will ceases in step with our interaction with other units in the system, as we must constantly meet each other units, our opposites, the stranger, the new one, in agreement. The agreement about the transformation process, of the disagreement in the middle in the loop of time, just like the transformation process of the seasons, when they change and meet in a transition, like summer to autumn, to meet winter. Because dualities lock us into a frame of thought forms in the physical form, then we have some external frames that are unchangeable, such as the seasons. They can become colder or warmer, but their concept state in the present tense will always remain the same, unless the law and course of nature change in their existence. So here we have a possible explanation to why coincidences exist and do not exist. Coincidence ability, understanding the language of silence, is learning the language of consciousness. To comprehend success in private life and business, sustained ability. Coincidences in the loop of time. It is only in the individual consciousnesses we can meet the loop of time, where time ceases and opposite poles meet with their turning point, make a U-turn, and connect the various opposite processes, in agreement, together, at a midpoint where everything ceases, a loop of time. It is in the loop of time that coincidences and possibilities occur, and which we can control in the form of choosing on and off. This happens at the moment when the divergent consciousnesses or units become conscious about their abilities and opportunities and find the independence in a new thought form, a choice. A thought form with an independence that contributes to curiosity so that it's possible to seek new solutions for the systems they are likely to create, or the new, already existing systems to which they proceed. New systems they learn from in order to create their own system, a new collective consciousness. Here we are talking about, for instance, innovators, theorists, scientists, inventors, the ones I call the alchemists, divergent units who turn everything into gold. They are going to transform every failure, challenge, and coincidence that does not suit them into a usable and positive thought form to contribute to the development of the collective consciousness. This includes those people who, over time, have come up with new thought forms, products, ideas, theories, etc., which could develop us and our collective systems, and whom we have very often met with a rejection. What we do not understand, we cannot feel, and makes no sense. What makes no sense, we cannot relate to logically. What we cannot feel emotionally and logically relate to, we thoughtlessly reject, instead of activating our coincidence ability and our divergent ability, and by this, as an independent and curious individual, getting curious and searching for answers. We should try to understand and feel what this new tells us, shows us, teaches us, or how it may benefit us. With the passage of time, the dualities have balanced themselves in the divergent units' natural course, and we have ended up acknowledging their thought forms, ideas, and theories, which proved to be the gold we have been needing many years after their existence. Here I am, talking about consciousnesses being here with us before their time, those from other collective systems that have chosen our collective system and bring their new thought form or product. Those who do not get the acknowledgement they deserve, as in our collective system we reject them outright, because we have not developed us and our understand abilities well enough to be able to comprehend what their thought form is about. We try to customize them in our comprehension box, our consciousness level. As we are also being influenced by the collective consciousness of other systems in our outer world, where they come from, then there will come a day when we say, they were actually right. I wonder if it is time to break out of the collective consciousnesses and the outdated thought forms, where we judge and reject what we do not understand. How about using what we do not understand to develop the free will of our abilities? Will we then not get an easier life with more flow? I think so. When we find the duality to our rejection and resistance, then we shall achieve the balance in peace, which again helps us find new balanced ways, and the freedom to just be in step with the course of life, happiness. Combined consciousness ability, different kinds of understanding or consciousness create a pattern where they interact with each other like a unity in a system. Each unit has a comprehension ability which is necessary if integration is needed between them. Imagine if we would develop more emotionally and get a compass with wholeness, where we do not just instinctively reject all the foreign new ideas and thoughts as an immediate autonomous reaction. We could meet the new thought forms with openness and curiosity to be able to concretely understand them or feel their effect. We must remember that knowledge and thought forms are dynamic and change constantly. Even new thought forms need a change in step with the development of the collective consciousness, where only the sustainable and sustained part moves on into the future collective consciousness. Sometimes we create coincidences by making use of our free will, making the quantum leap and the wild changes which change the collective consciousness of which we are part. At other times, our external circumstances are changed, creating coincidences that are not taken into account in our small closed system, of which we can make use to choose new ways of development. New causes and thus effect from our side, when someone else's effect in the form of coincidences becomes our new cause. Here we enter another one of the hypotheses we work from: innovation ability. The new coincidences and possibilities that spring from the divergent unit with the deviation from the collective consciousness system create new opportunities to build a new system. They drag the balanced units or consciousnesses into the new one via meta-duality theory. They make use of the innovation ability, meaning divergent consciousnesses can withdraw from the collective consciousness they are part of and create a new system with a new sustainable and sustained thought form by using their innovation ability, which proved to be the one with the biggest survival strength. This also means that if divergent consciousnesses and abilities are outdated or inappropriate, the collective consciousness is going to phase out this unit from its wholeness, repel it, as it is no longer able to be sustainable and sustained for the benefit of the system. Balance. Sustained consciousness ability. The quality of life creates balanced sustainability on all fronts. Consciousnesses with divergent abilities create new systems. Conflicts may be necessary for a phase out to get a development. Scenario 2. Energetic blockade caused by the resistance with consequent rejection by the collective consciousness of the system, which is going to phase out a unit, is a completely different matter. This can happen for several reasons and have different effects depending on the reception ability, reaction, and circumstances it is creating. Even in this case, the above description will be applicable, as the dualities work and affect in the same way in all opposite poles. In both scenarios, we work from a thought form, which is about a conscious or unconscious process. When we enter the unconscious processes, we enter the blind spots, where great knowledge is hiding. This knowledge is being activated only in the change processes, when we follow our free will or choose the changes we need to be able to move in a flow and with great success. In the unconscious spots, part of the ancient knowledge, such as the meta-duality theory, may hide in dormancy, which is actively working automatically, like our dynamic intuition and organic instincts. The old knowledge that is hidden in the dormancy is ready to be taken up when various units in the collective consciousness are ready to develop further and work consciously with this conceptual state. It is clearly in a standby mode until the time we are ready to use all our forms of intelligence that we have available to develop and use to activate a combined consciousness for a more balanced, successful life cycle, happiness. If we take the simple starting point and perceive that success equals happiness, when will we then succeed in achieving success? Our overall purpose and goal as a human being must be to be a happy human being in a physical presence. Balanced, quality-conscious people create sustainability.